For the 350 million members of Facebook Nation, there's a fierce debate going on over privacy. Bloomberg Businessweek has been looking into the privacy story. The newest issue hit newsstands just this morning. Joining now is the editor of Bloomberg Businessweek, Josh Tyrangiel. Josh, the cover says buy, sell, pray, but there's no question one of the highlights in this magazine, the Facebook story, why Facebook wants your ID. Tell us a bit about this whole concept they have for Facebook Connect.
Sure. So Facebook Connect is something where, there are lots of websites out there that don't have community platforms, that don't have commenting, that don't allow people to get in. And so what Facebook did is say, hey, we know that people stay logged into Facebook as they cruise the web. Why not just use their Facebook IDs to comment on your site? Which for many sites is a godsend, saves them a lot of money. And for users, it's easy. At the same time, it's one more bit of information that Facebook has about where you go and what you say. And as we get to targeted advertising, and we're getting closer and closer to really good targeted advertising, that kind of data is invaluable. So when you go onto Facebook now, every little thing you do on the web while you're logged in suddenly becomes very informative for them as they try to advertise to you.
And it sounds like this is something that Facebook users don't really know is happening.
Well, I think when we use the web, we don't really recognize that we're being tracked. I mean, people, you look at it on your laptop, you're sitting in your own privacy, and you just sort of forget that machine learning is going on about your behavior. And so, no, I don't think anybody who's using Facebook is thinking, well, here I am commenting on a story on some other site, and Facebook is watching it.
Josh, I see this morning there's word that 10 privacy groups have filed a complaint to the FTC over Facebook's planned use of this personal content, effectively.
And look, this is not just going to be about Facebook as we go forward in the next couple of years. It's going to be about Google, it's going to be about all the social networks, and lots of other little sites that want to get in on targeted advertising. I mean, the fact is that we know banner ads, they ain't great. They don't work. Advertisers don't like them. So the closer the advertising market can get to targeting, the better it's going to be for them. So this is a skirmish that we're going to, be refereeing this for a long time.
A constant refinement.
I really think so, yeah.
From an ID theft standpoint, does the story, does your reporting, or Businessweek's reporting, make the case for one standard, i.e. Open ID, or multiple standards, maybe digital or Facebook Connect plus whoever else decides to cook one up?
It's not really so much about the ID theft as it is about the rules of the road. So that when you're online, what can companies do? What can they sell? What do you have to check off? What do you have to say? Before you do anything with this data, I want you to know that you can only use it this way. And so Facebook is actually not a bad place to do it because of the massive volume of users. At the same time, should they be the ones dictating it? Probably not.
Josh, I want to turn to an item, I don't know if I'd call it a story, that appears on page 42 of the magazine. Right here, it's called Many Happier Returns. Let's take another look at that. There we are, Many Happier Returns. Folks, this is actually poetry. Josh, what is Businessweek, Bloomberg Businessweek, doing delving into the world of poetry?
Well, I think our readers know that we run so much poetry throughout the year. I mean, we do lots of poetry, particularly in commodities. Every year now, this is the third year, Mark Miller, who's one of our very talented copy editors, sits down and writes a poem about the year.
The year that was.
The year that was. And this is a double issue. It's our investment guide for 2010. At the same time, it wraps up what happened in 2009. And so it's a nice pivot point. And Mark is a very clever guy. So if you want to sit down and, around the tree, think about what happened this year, not get terribly depressed by it, this is the thing that you ought to read.
And names make news. We see a lot of caricatures of people here.
It's funny. It's funny poetry, which I think is the best kind.
All right, and finally, we need to talk about another story that appears on page 79. We'll hold this one up for you, folks. It's called The Case for Commodities.
Right.
We've heard a lot about commodities. There are some divergent views on commodities given the price declines that we've seen recently in gold, that kind of thing.
So higher in the dollar as well.
Exactly. I mean, commodities are a bet on a devalued dollar, basically. And there's news, obviously, about the dollar moving today. We're not advocating individual investors get into individual commodities. That would be perilous for everybody. But there are lots of ETFs that are a really smart hedge against a devalued dollar, and we just want to show what they are, particularly because a lot of the world's having a tough time growing grains. Fertilizer prices have been problematic for lots of places outside of the United States. It's a really smart way, and one that most people don't think of, to bet against a dollar.
And for those investors who feel like they can take on that additional risk and want to diversify, there are, in fact, some suggested ETFs they might want to look at.
Absolutely.
Very good. Josh Tyrangiel, the new editor of Bloomberg Businessweek, joining us right here, everybody.